An assembly is the governing body of the World Council of Churches, the worldwide fellowship of Christian churches, in which representatives of the hundreds of member churches identify goals the Council and its partners will pursue together until the next assembly.
It has been said that each of the 10 assemblies since the Council came into being in 1948 has presented the opportunity for the WCC to reconstitute itself.
The Council existed for 10 years in process of formation before its first assembly was held in war-ravaged Amsterdam in August 1948. The stated theme of this post-war assembly was man's disorder and God's design.
By the vote which you have just given, the World Council of Churches is constituted and established.
By the time of the Second Assembly held in the U.S. state of Illinois, the Cold War between East and West was nearing its height. A clear concern for development and human rights led to discussion of the Church's role in forming a responsible society.
Still more churches from the Global South joined the WCC in time for the New Delhi Assembly in 1961, the first such gathering to convene outside Europe or North America. For the first time, Orthodox churches from Eastern Europe were present at the assembly.
The Fourth Assembly at Uppsala had as its theme, "Behold, I make all things new." Martin Luther King Jr. was to have delivered the opening sermon at Uppsala, but he was assassinated in the spring while campaigning for the poor.
Jesus Christ frees and unites. Liberation and unity formed the themes of the Fifth Assembly in Nairobi, the first to be held in Africa. The Assembly explored the dialogue among proponents of Christian theology from different traditions.
Indigenous members of the First Nations of Canada presented a traditional totem to the Sixth Assembly in Vancouver. And diverse cultures of Canada made a strong impact on the ambience and atmosphere of the event. Light throughout God's good creation was central to the theme. Jesus Christ, the life of the world.
The First Gulf War broke out just 3 weeks before the Seventh Assembly was convened in Canberra, Australia. The theme of the Assembly stressed the bond between nature and the work of the Holy Trinity. Come, Holy Spirit, renew the whole creation. To mark the WCC's 50th anniversary, the Eighth Assembly met in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, where the list of speakers included former South African President Nelson Mandela.
To us in South Africa and Southern Africa, and indeed the entire continent, the World Council of Churches has always been known as the champion of the oppressed and the exploited.
Harare introduced a new dimension to WCC assemblies, the marketplace of ideas. In Harare, it was called a padare, the Shona word for meeting place or centre of community. Porto Alegre would employ its own local term, mutirao.
In the message of the Ninth Assembly, Christians in Porto Alegre observed that we are made aware by assembly participants of crimes arising daily in their home countries and regions due to disasters, violent conflicts, and conditions of oppression and suffering. Yet we are also empowered by God to bear witness to transformation in personal lives, churches, societies, and the world as a whole.
The 10th and most recent assembly of the World Council of Churches took place at Busan, Korea, in the autumn of 2013. The potential for renewal of the ecumenical movement was reflected in the theme of the assembly. God of life, lead us to justice and peace. The theme emerged out of the historical faith pilgrimage of the Church, and in Busan, it resonated across the divided Korean peninsula to the shanty towns, villages, and cities throughout Asia. It gave the WCC Fellowship of Churches a renewed sense of the Church's prophetic role in the world today.